Alright, so if you took American history in school, you heard some of like the big stories from the slavery to Civil War days, specifically of slaves getting out of slavery. You know, the Sojourner Truths, the Frederick Douglasses of the world, going from slavery, escaping it, and becoming free. In the case of Harriet Tubman, she was just crazy. She ran away from slavery, got herself free, and then went back into the plantations to get other slaves out. That was amazing. Alright, we all know that stuff, but I'm pretty sure you haven't heard of a former slave becoming free and then being sold back into slavery. Well, that's what happened in the case of Henrietta Wood, and that's who we're going to talk about today. Now, back in the slavery time, slaves weren't really thought of as people, so they weren't really concerned about keeping all the dates of who was born when or when not. So there's going to be some variance in the dates that I talk about. But around 1818 to 1819, that's when Henrietta Wood was born. And from an early age, she was a slave until she was sold to a Frenchman named Francis Sarraud in the 1830s. And later on in her time with the Sarrauds, it was actually Francis's wife, Jane, who freed Henrietta in 1848. Of course, like anyone freed from slavery, Henrietta was ecstatic, and so she went to find some work in the Cincinnati area. And she ended up finding employment with a woman named Rebecca Boyd. Wood and Boyd were seemingly on good terms, and so in 1850, Henrietta thought they were going on a leisurely trip to Kentucky, the place where she was born into slavery. But on the way, someone kidnapped Henrietta from that trip and sold her back into slavery illegally. The whole trip was a setup to sell her back into slavery. And so she went back into slavery and continued to serve from 1850 until emancipation in 1865. And after that, she made her way back to Cincinnati. But that was not the end of it. In 1870, she sued Zebulon Ward for $20,000 for damages for selling her back into slavery illegally, profiting off of her, etc., etc. It was a long, hard road, but eventually Henrietta Wood got her settlement, $2,500. It's a far cry from the amount that she originally sued for, $20,000, but to this day it is still one of the biggest restitution payments in the history of the US. So if you like that story, go check out my channel, Hidden History, on YouTube. If you're watching this from YouTube, like and subscribe. This is Hidden History.